What is happening, loungers? I hope everybody is doing as great as I am on this grand day. Okay. Shout out to all of you who are in the clouds. Make sure that you do hit the like button on the way in. And for everybody that will catch the replay, I always appreciate the replay value on the shows. Okay. So shout out to you guys. And make sure that you guys hit the like button as well, or the dislike. It doesn't matter. Now, listen, guys, we are going to get into a lot of topics this morning. One of them being Binary Show last night. Shout out to one of my favorite trolls in the sector, Binary, Dr. Binary Code. We are going to get into a lot of the topics that he brought up last night. He did bring up the conversation of the hard ER, which I think everybody kind of knows already what that means, okay? And the reason behind this whole conversation is just based off of what Stargate has been saying lately in these YouTube streets. Well, she's been saying that for quite some time, but she's gotten very comfortable now in saying this to multiple people, including some of the men that used to side with her. Now she's calling them the hard nigga as well, with the ER on it, okay? So there's been a lot of chatter. Well, not actually much chatter, but there has been some chatter around the sector lately in regards to this hard ER. And where people stand in regards to where they stand with Stargate. Binary felt like jumping out the window and having a video last night in regards to it. And I think we all kind of expected him to talk about the etymology of the word, talk about how it got here, why it got here, and why it is such a painful thing to Black people. But he didn't get into much of that. He was really kind of just filibustering around the word and trying to make excuses for why it would be okay for this person to say it and not okay for that person. He's pulled up articles from white people who said they wish, white people wouldn't say it. And somehow that is supposed to allow Black people to feel more comfortable with another Black person calling them a nigger. Okay, not nigga, but a nigger, okay? And that is not okay in any way, shape, form, or fashion, no matter who it's coming from, okay? But we're going to get into the etymology of the word. We're going to get into how long this word has been in the English language and why, and then we'll go from there, okay? Also, Binary had, came up with this theory that Ray Triggs is supposed to drop all his receipts, and he should drop all these alleged receipts before Breaking the Culture comes out with them. In other words, he should get ahead of the game or ahead of the story beforehand, okay? And we're going to get into my thoughts on that as well. I do know that Ray will be live tonight, and he will be doing an epic live show in regards to some receipt dropping. We're going to get into all of that stuff. There was also an allegation against Ray that came up last night, and I want to get into that as well. And finally, I want to get into a little bit of the Smoke God show. I did listen to a bit of it, and I want to get into a little bit of that and just kind of, break down some of the things that's been happening. Guys, we are in for a show. We are also in for a great weekend here in the sector, because there will be a lot of information dropping, a lot of tea coming out. And yeah, we're here for all the drama. Okay, we're here for all the tea. But we're going to get into these hot topics right now, guys. I know that oftentimes Binary will definitely go into troll mode, right? Other times he does attempt to be serious about some things, okay? But I don't know. I don't know if it's just his personality or what, but at times he just cannot stay on topic when it comes to actual real life situations, right? If it actually applies to him or somebody he's cool with, for some reason he will find some way to poke holes in it, right? Now, one of the things that I asked Binary and that I said in his in the chat in regards to the hard word is, number one, any other race out here, it will not sit around and have a discussion with one another on what they should tolerate as far as racial slurs, what they should tolerate as far as disrespect of their race, and so forth. As a matter of fact, it is the complete opposite in most cases, such as with the Jewish Federation, right? If there is any type of racial slurs or disrespect towards their race, they have an entire federation that is available and set up to not only provide litigation for them, but also provide resources to be sure that there's certain rules that are put in place and certain punishments that are put in place for the person that actually committed such, this such thing. Okay. And it could be for what the rest of the world would see as the slightest thing. Okay. For instance, let's talk about Kyrie Irving, right? When Kyrie came out with, when Kyrie tweeted a video that was put out about from Hebrews to Negroes, okay? And how that video impacted what people were allowed to talk about, what people were allowed to say, what information was put out, no matter what you thought was true about it, okay? Even though I believed in and agreed with a lot of things that were in that video, when I went to play that video on my YouTube channel, YouTube put a copyright strike against me, okay? And it was a hard strike. It wasn't a half a strike like these kind of semi-strikes that they do. No, it was like, bitch, we not playing with you. You play this one more time and we snatching this channel, okay? Like, that's how serious it was for a simple video, okay, of what is in the Bible, of what is in, other texts and so forth and so on, what is in my DNA, what is in your DNA. This was real to me, but they weren't playing that game, okay? They don't have any toleration for any such discussions. They don't have any toleration for any such thing. It's only in our race that you find these types of discussions, right? Where we're having a discussion with ourselves on how dare we stand up for ourselves when it comes to somebody attacking us with racial slurs. How stupid do we look speaking up on it if we use the words like, what's up, my nigga, or what's up, you pussy ass nigga, or you say something like that, as opposed to saying, you nigger. There is a complete difference in those two words, okay? We all know that, whether we want to pretend or whether we don't. I can agree to a level with even others who say neither one of the words should be used. I think to a level I can agree with that because of the simple fact that when we use either one of the words, are we allowing the other word to be used, right? Like if we say nigga, then we obviously may be allowing the word nigger to be used as well. And then we're not pushing back so much on it because we're allowing this etymology of the word to be said. Okay. So I think that is definitely a discussion to be had. I think that is something that even myself, I want to start, changing how much I may say the word nigga, right? just so that just so that it's not normalized to people. Okay. And I think that, I can do my part in doing that, but I think there's a deeper issue with this. Okay. And we're going to get into the etymology of the word nigger. Okay. And this is, I'm going to put a link to this in my description box so you guys can get that as well. Now, this most offensive of words in American speech dates back to the late 16th century, although the modern spelling doesn't appear until about 2 centuries later. The OED's earliest site of modern spelling is from 1786 in Burns' Ordination. The Random House Historical Dictionary of American Slang, however, claims that this is an editorial error, and Burns' original manuscript uses the old Niger word, okay? The obsolete spelling Niger dates to 1574. It comes from the Latin meaning black. It shares this common root with negro. The offenses of the term has increased over time, especially in the 20th century. Two 16th century quotes that are commonly cited in the dictionaries are from scholarly tracts. A 1700 quote by Judge Samuel Sewall uses the term in a denunciation of slavery. Gradually, however, polite discourse increasingly used the term negro, which dates to at least 1555, and nigger became related to the vulgar tongue, increasing in offensiveness over the centuries. So, for example, when Mark Twain used the word in Huckleberry Finn, by the standards of his day, he is not being especially offensive, although even then it was a term that would not be used in polite society, but is using the term as a marker of class and social economical status of the characters who utter it. In the 20th century, of course, it has become extremely offensive. It, along with cunt, for instance, are just about the two only taboo words in American discourse today. It's interesting that the most offensive terms have strong racial or gender discrimination components. About the only acceptable use is in Black English when African Americans use it to refer to themselves. There is similarly reclamation of the word queer among homosexuals to rob the term of its offensiveness of the term by using it to refer to themselves. Now, that is a lot of word salad that was in there. But one of the things that makes sense and that other races and other groups are not pushed back upon, right, is if they use their terms against themselves. So if homosexuals use queer or fag or something like that, it is considered a term of endearment to some because they take the offensiveness back from it and they use it amongst each other. But somebody outside of their group, it's not acceptable for them to use the word fag or queer or something that is offensive to homosexuals, okay? The same thing is for African American or Black people. I just say Black people, okay? Black people, okay? It is the same thing for us. We have certain terms that we use amongst each other, which takes away the offensiveness from others that we can use with each other, but not with other groups, okay? And keep in mind that if you do turn around as a homosexual, right, and use the word fag to hurt someone with the intent of hurting someone, and use the word queer with the intent of hurting someone, it then turns around and has a different effect, even if that person is gay as well. That is something I want to make very, very clear when we're talking about this, because the hard ER word is not acceptable from anyone, especially if you are attempting to use it to harm someone. And that is the difference in what Stargate did and what Muslim did, okay? Muslim very much, what he said was very much offensive, okay? For the simple fact that he is not a Black person. So therefore, because he is not a Black person, he cannot come into our group and use terms that we would use as terms of endearment with one another, but would be offensive if someone else said it. Okay. The same thing with Muslims, the same thing with Arabs, right? They have certain terms that they would not accept from us, even if they talk with one another about these things. Okay. That is just the law of life. Like whether we like that, whether we don't like that, I'm sure within the Jewish community, there are certain terms that they could say, certain terms that they are allowed to tell one another. But if somebody else says it, it is holy hell to pay. Do you understand? Because it is offensive. That is why. But only in our community are we scrutinized for being offended by someone using such a term to harm us. Okay? So, binary, I want to make it very clear that anybody that turns against Star and now y'all, because of y'all's stance with this, that turns against her because of the way that she doubled down on these words, okay? I don't understand how you could even begin to look at anybody sideways for that. We have the absolute right to stand up for ourselves. We have the absolute right to speak against these things, whether it's from a Black person, quote unquote, or not, especially amongst our people, okay? Because of the background and the history of how Black people began to use the hard ER with each other. We didn't even come up with that term. That was a term that came up from England, from the English language. Do you understand? That is not from us. Okay, so we did not come up with that term, but we're using that term as a term of endearment again in order to take back the power from what was, what was meant to hurt us. Okay, so, but that doesn't give anybody else a pass to use the word and use it for intent to harm. Okay, so where everybody may stand with how they feel about what Stargate said, they have the absolute right to feel that way. I don't feel like I necessarily am going to cut off binary, right? Or cut off identity withheld or whatever, but I definitely will cut off Star. And it's not because I have some other reason for why. I don't know why y'all keep trying to paint this picture that the women of the Secktah are for some reason jealous of Star and breaking the culture. They have absolutely nothing to offer the world, okay? So there would be nothing for us to be jealous of. But the bottom line is people don't have to tolerate their disrespect and don't have to tolerate the things that they say just because you like them or because they cause controversy or because they bring you views, or whatever. Yeah, nobody has to tolerate that. And that's just that. Also, I want to say this. You said that your explanation, like you even did this live to begin with, to explain to the people, that, well, Stargate is not going to care about how y'all feel. And, well, we're not going to cut Stargate off and all these other things. What was the purpose of you doing that? Let's talk about this psychologically for a second, right? Because your purpose for even telling us that to begin with is to let us know, stand down, right? Like, how dare you guys speak on this? And, we're not going to care. We are still going to move forward. And Star is still going to call y'all niggers. And y'all are just going to get over it. No. We have the right to decide whether we want to fuck with y'all or not. Do you understand? You doubling down on that is just literally telling us, take it and accept it, roll over and take it and deal with it, because we are not going to put Stargate on a shelf. We're not expecting y'all to put Stargate on a shelf. We're not expecting you to take any stance with this situation. We're not expecting you didn't even have to go live and even talk about it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, literally. But at the end of the day, she is responsible for the things that she says, and we are entitled to feel the way that we feel. And whether you decide to fuck with her or whether you decide to be her friend or not, what does that got to do with the price of tea in China? I'm not really sure why you felt the need to explain that to us, other than the fact that you know how egregious what she said was, right? And so now you want to jump ahead of the game and you want to try to soften the blow and then try to tell us it ain't that bad. Y'all just need to just get over it and just deal with it, because Star is not going to care what y'all think. And, we're not going to cut her off. So, y'all just need to get over it. No, we don't have to do anything. We don't have to do anything. Okay. We can choose to come and watch you or not. When Star is on the show, though, you're going to watch your numbers drop. Like that's just what it is, because people don't fuck with her and people don't want to hear that bullshit. When you're talking, I can deal with that. I can tolerate that, right? We can sit there, we can listen to that, joke around, laugh, and do kiki, whatever. There's going to be other people that are going to stay tuned in when Stargate gets on there. They have the choice to do that. But all of that is irrelevant to her disrespectful behavior and to what she said. And nobody's going to just forget about it because she's your friend. Like, that's just what it is. Okay. Now, let's move on to this allegation, right? Because what you alleged last night is that Ray Triggs, in fact, is also calling people the hard ER. Okay. You said that Ray Triggs, what's up, y'all? I appreciate y'all being in the building. Let me go ahead and get up here to the comments real quick. Vici, I appreciate you. Chat Lives and Alan, definitely appreciate you guys for being in the building. All right, so listen, you claim that Ray Triggs had called Shakem the hard ER, right? Now, based off of these receipts, that we got the other day from Shakem and break-in and all this bullshit, I'm going to need some actual receipts on that, right? Because we haven't seen that, okay? I've never heard Ray Triggs call anybody the hard ER. I've never seen that. And if you have evidence of that, I would need to see it. I would definitely need to see that, right? And I would need to see much more than like some fake ass text message or something. Like, I would really need to see like actual proof that Ray Triggs said that, right? How hard is it to post evidence of things that you claim about people? How hard is it to, once you jump out the window and claim and make the claim, right? How hard is it to actually produce those receipts? Like, when are you going to produce any receipts that are tangible and any receipts that we can really say, okay, this is what happened, right? Like I said, I've said many times, I'm not in any way taking either one of these people's side, right? I'm not about to take Ray Triggs' side. I'm not taking Shakem's side. I'm not taking Breaker's side. I'm not taking nobody's side. But I'm having a very difficult time with people who put out allegations, right? And then claim that they have all these receipts on it, and then claim they're going to produce those receipts. And then they just go days and days and days talking shit, talking about it in everybody's chat room. This and this, got all this shit to say, but can't take 2 seconds to upload a simple receipt to their community wall or something of that nature, to upload a screenshot of it, to show us proof of this stuff, right? Like, it's not that hard to actually do that, especially with the time that you take and the hours you take in other people's chat rooms and other spaces. You should be able to take that same amount of time to just produce the evidence, right? Which brings me to these receipts, okay? Because there's a couple of people that have been kind of talking about these receipts. One of them being Smoke God, the other one being Shakem, and also Binary mentioned some of these receipts as well, okay? But yet, the public is kind of just in suspense about these receipts, okay? Now, Binary, of course, is going to have his, whole, thing about the receipts and that, these are his people. So he's, of course, going to say he has, substantiated these receipts and whatnot, right? This list of people that Breaking the Culture has provided to the people, or provided to him and provided to, a couple other people, right? That Ray has been disparaging and Ray has been disrespecting. What's happening, Ray? What's happening? Very Perspectives. Appreciate you guys being in the building. And I'll go over the comments in just a moment, guys. But either way, there was these, this list that Ray has been disparaging all these people, such as Me and Mine's, Grown Man, Redbone, Teresa, propane, all kinds of people, right? So Shakem has claimed more than once that not only did he uh, see the receipts, right, of these propane situations, but he's also heard the recordings of the propane situation, right? Binary also doubled down on that last night and saying there are recordings of these people, right? So all of them are on the side of breaking the culture of silence. They are not on the side of Ray. They are on the side of breaking. So where could they have gotten these recordings or these receipts? The only place they could have gotten these recordings is from breaking the culture herself. Okay. Now, if Ray was the one that really wanted to disparage their names and he wanted to do all this information gathering and disparage all these people's names, then he would be the one that would be in possession of these receipts. Braken would be able to say, I know that Ray has recordings of them, but she wouldn't be able to pass you those recordings. You understand? If she has a copy of these recordings in her possession and she sends it to you, that makes her the culprit for the recordings. I think I've said that before, and I can't stress that enough. Like, because for some reason, you're trying to twist this around and make this like, Braken is innocent in this situation and that she just gave you guys this stuff and, that was it. No, but she didn't have to pass anybody anything. You understand what I'm trying to say? Like, why would she pass off such information? Why would she even have these recordings in her possession if she wasn't intending to use these to pass to other people or to harm them? That is the question, okay? Because so far, none of y'all have been able to prove that Ray Triggs has any recordings in his possession except for what he has proven that Breaking the Culture sent him for Nikki and her recording Nikki. That is the only recordings that we have been able to prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that Ray Triggs has in his possession. All these what ifs and what abouts and stuff that you're putting into it is not there, okay? So I can't put details of a situation what's up, Miss Murph? I can't put details of a situation or this situation into it that haven't surfaced, okay? Like, for instance, you keep coming up, Binary, with, well, I wonder how Teresa is going to respond to this disrespectful receipt, that Ray was talking shit about her. Or I wonder how, me and Mines and them are going to respond to all this disrespect. I'm going to break down to y'all how Ray and what Ray was really saying in those comments, okay? When Ray said, I was talking about some people behind the scenes in order to get information from Breaking, or in order for her to be comfortable giving me that information, right? Basically, what he did was he got on that bitch's motherfucking level, okay? He hopped on her level and just talked a little bit of shit and talked, to make her comfortable enough to open her mouth enough to speak on some shit that only he would know if he got it from her. This is what that man does. He's a goddamn troll, right? While she's sitting here like, oh no, I'm innocent. I don't do anything wrong. I have never done anything to anybody. Like, I would never, I'm just upstanding Christian woman who protects all my kids. And I'm this wonderful person who I never do. Like, this is the story that she's trying to paint, right? And that Ray Triggs is this great monster, and he is the puppet master, and he is the one that's behind all this bullshit, right? Yes, the art of deflection, child. Now, the reason why she wants to do that is because, of course, her boss, AAS, is the actual puppet master, but they have to make somebody else look like that. Why not right now, use this opportunity to make him look like, he's the culprit and that he's behind all this bullshit. Hold on, guys. I had to take a sip of my water. Anyway, just to make him look like he's the culprit and like he's behind all the bullshit when it's really AAS, okay? And that is the reason why we're on Breaking the Culture because, again, she has been gathering information on people in this sector and then giving that information to AAS, including gathering information on propane. This is why your whole idea and your whole story of Breaking the Culture gathering information on only her ops is a fucking lie, okay? And y'all proved it because propane is not an op of Breaking the Culture. But yet, why does Breaking the Culture have a recording of propane in her possession that she has passed on not only to you, Binary, but she's also passed on to Shakim? And both of y'all are on video, like openly saying, we got the recordings. We got the recordings. We know those recordings exist. I heard them. I saw them. So therefore, you got them from her, okay? And propane is not one of her ops, all right? Crazy part about that, right? Even if he was one of her ops, okay, which is this is the crazy part. You kind of filibustered on this defense yesterday with this, like I said, I've been pretty impressed with your defense of her until yesterday, okay? For real. It's crazy because, with the whole op thing, right? Even if he was one of her actual ops, how the hell does that actually make it okay? Okay, for somebody on YouTube, because I have a quote unquote op on YouTube, that just automatically gives me the right to dox them, dox their family members, look up their children's information, get in touch with their children, and to try to get information about you just so I can have that information in my possession and pass that information on to other people who will intend to use it to harm you, okay? Regardless of whether people say it's for protection, the only protection from such a thing would be to tune out of YouTube. That's literally what you can do because nobody's doing anything to y'all other than calling y'all out on y'all bullshit, okay? That is all that's happening to Rev G. That is all that's happening to AAS. Nobody's doing anything to harm them. They are calling y'all on y'all bullshit and holding y'all accountable for your bullshit, okay? For contacting all these agencies on people, for trying to contact people's family members, just simply because they disagree with you on your stance with Umar Johnson. That is why. Like, we're going to keep this in perspective. We are not going to throw all these other things out here, all this stuff for late people to the sector like Binary and others. No, we're going to keep this in perspective because this has been the problem, okay? And this is why we are on Breaking the Culture's ass, because she is out here actually skip tracing people, skip tracing family members and so forth, and then giving you that information in exchange for other for other favors, okay? Now, that is a problem, ma'am. That is a major, major problem. And in some places, that is a crime, okay? So both of you can be held accountable for such crimes. And that is just that. Whether you like that or whether you don't, whether your friends like it or whether they don't. There is, again, no evidence of Ray Triggs actually doing that, okay? If y'all have the evidence, drop it. Put that evidence down. We want to see it, okay, at this point. We're not children. We're not babies where you can, pacify us with candy and all this other stuff and all these clowns and yays and kikis. No, we need the actual evidence that you're claiming is there, okay? So this is what we want to see at the end of the day, which brings me to shout out to the Smoke God show, right? I was listening in on the show. And, I like how Smoke has been pretty neutral with this. He's not taking Breaking side. He's also not taking Ray's side. He's been able to express how he really feels about the situation as far as Ray is concerned and stuff like that, because they had their ops, right? Here's the thing, and this is what I really want to help people understand and to read between the lines with my brother Smoke, okay? Drop the receipts, Breaking the Culture, okay? Because, like I said, let the people decide, right? Let the public eye look at these receipts and let us analyze what these things are. Because when you had these text messages, right, that were just in front of the eyes of Shakim, there's a lot of stuff Shakim didn't pick up from those text messages. Number one, he didn't pick up that the dates of those text messages. He didn't compare those to the dates of the live streams, right, between y'all and trying to get Propane and Star to talk. He didn't put those together because it was easy for the public to put that together and say, oh, yeah, this is why Ray said this, or this is why that happened. Do you understand? So allow the public to look at these actual receipts, right? Because one thing that Smoke said that caught my ear was these receipts look and sound credible, okay? They look credible. They look like it's something that, could really, be damning if they're real. But he kept saying that. He kept saying, if they're real, if these are real, put them out there, right? Just put it out there at this point. Why are we waiting and lingering on and, for what? Is this like a ploy that you use, to kind of lull the people to sleep until, you do drop the receipt, and by the time you drop the receipt, nobody cares? I think that's what you're trying to do, okay? And what I want you to do, Breaking, like Smoke wants you to do, is to release the evidence to the people so that the people can put their eye on it too, right? If it's real and it's honest, it's going to remain real and honest. It's not going to change to a lie once you release it, right? And it's definitely not going to, we can always, and I'm going to say this, I want to say this too, because I heard Smoke on this and I agree with him on this. Because once you do release actual evidence to the sector, he's right about this. Once you release truth to the sector, certain people in the sector will find ways to poke holes in the truth, okay? So, yeah, I agree with that. You can release the truth and people are going to poke holes in it anyway. I agree, right? But here's the problem with what you're saying, okay? Nobody in the sector asked Breaking the Culture for any of this information. This is information that Breaking the Culture voluntarily gave to the sector. She got on these panels, hopped out the clouds onto these panels to make sure that she was telling everybody, mouth first, what was going on with Ray Triggs and how, just throwing him under the bus and how he's this culprit, he's this monster, he's gathering information on people and all this other stuff, right? This was her saying this. Nobody alleged this. Nobody jumped out and said, I think Ray Triggs is doing this and I think Breaking is involved and she needs to prove that she's not. Nobody did any of that shit. Breaking the Culture brought this information to the sector, okay? She opened up the door for us to talk about all this, all right? So therefore, it is up to Breaking the Culture to provide the evidence of this. She said she was going to provide the evidence. It's not like she said, y'all, this is true, but it's going to have to be my word against his because I'm not about to give y'all this information. I ain't about to drop that shit. I ain't about to dox nobody. I ain't about to, like, if she said that, I could understand that, right? I could get that. I could be like, you know what? Yeah, I've been there before. I put an allegation against a motherfucker in this sector and said, I refuse to show my people's paperwork. You understand what I'm saying? I refuse to do some shit like that. But as for, if I said, oh, I'm going to show y'all this paperwork and then I never produced it, that would be a different story. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So she is the one that introduced this to the sector. She is the one that said she has the evidence to show that. And she is the one that said she would provide it. And she has not done that yet, except for in secret to certain people, okay? Whereas she can doctor up something to make something appear a certain way and then hand it to that person so that person has a reaction to what she's giving them, okay? Because it's about them, right? So they would naturally have a reaction to it because this person is already their op and they're getting this, and this appears to be some top secret information that only you have. But why is it that you haven't produced it to the public if it's real, if it's factual. Why? Is it because we can look at it and we can go through it and now we can figure out what's the lie and what isn't? Is that the reason? I mean, like I said, if it was truthful and it was honest, you would just release it. For the simple fact that you said you wanted to release it to begin with. Nobody asked you for this information. Nobody even knew about it. You volunteered this information to the sector. So therefore, binary, it is not up to Ray Triggs to go ahead and produce stuff and get ahead of the game and all this other stuff. Ahead of what game? There's no game to get ahead of. Breaking the Culture is playing this game of checkers by herself, okay? Nobody got on this chessboard with her. She is the one playing checkers alone, okay? So we're going to go ahead and let her play this game out by herself. Y'all are helping her along in her checkers game by letting us know that these receipts, quote unquote, these recordings, quote unquote, exist, okay? And that you got that information from her. You didn't get that from Ray. You got that from her, okay? So again, let's go over the facts so far. We're going to write this stuff down. So far, we've got Breaking actually has recordings of people who are not her ops and has passed on this info to others who are also not their ops, right? Because Shakem is not an op to propane, right? But yet Shakem is in possession, according to Shakem, of a recording of propane from Breaking the Culture of Silence, okay? We don't have Ray giving out any recordings of anybody other than the recording that he received from Breaking the Culture of Silence on Nikki, okay? Who is her op, okay? Yeah, I get that. She is her op, right? But not her op per se. She is anti-Afro's op, okay? I'm telling y'all, and we're going to talk about this right now. I'm telling y'all why I was so perturbed about Breaking the Culture being all upset and all up in arms about Dr. Nikki last year, right? I couldn't understand where all that was coming from, right? Even though I had my gripes with Nikki, I had my issues with her too. But I will honestly say I never really understood where the energy from that was coming from, and she couldn't explain it. All she kept saying was, oh, I can't fuck with somebody who would be in the chat room of a man who is, who's cheering on in the chat room of a man who would stalk my kids. And she was talking about the Daryl Moore stuff, right? She said that her basic thing was Nikki had super chatted Dr. or Daryl Moore during a time where he was talking about breaking. I don't really remember that or recall that. I do know he was talking about breaking a lot last year, and that we had all started to venture over there and listen. This is how I ended up getting the information about the grandmother, right, and stuff like that. So, the grandmother of Michael and stuff like, which is Breaking's son, that she claims don't exist, right? So we were all kind of doing that, but this was before I had heard about the grandmom. So, and I kept asking Breaking, like, why do you think Nikki is, what is really good? Why do you have such a problem with her? She couldn't really explain what the real problem was, right? But whenever her and I would talk and I would tell her like an issue I'm having or something like that, she would capitalize off of whatever that was, right? And I'm not going to speak on those issues, but like I might vent to her about something, and then she would capitalize off of that and be like, yeah, girl, this now Nikki, she shouldn't be doing this. And I would end up standing up for Nikki a little bit during the conversation, because I'd be like, no, it ain't like that. It's just, I might feel this way or something like this. And then she's like, nah, girl, this is what she's really doing. And this is how, she's really doing it and stuff. And it would always go like that. And I really couldn't quite put my finger on what her real problem was. You know what I mean? Like, okay, she sent him a super chat, so what? You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of an issue. No, she's paying him all these AAS talking points, right? Again, I'm not putting two and two together at the time, that she's working with AAS and so forth. But there was a lot of things that just started happening, and that was one of them, just in conversation with Breaking. But ultimately, there was never really any real reason for her to be Nikki's op, right? It was always anti's ops. It was always anybody that anti had a problem with. Breaking came into this sector doing that shit. She came into this sector going against Let Me See Your Transcript. Then she went against D. Durrell, right? Then she slowly but surely started gathering information on other people, including myself, Shakim Ra, Nikki, Eyes, Carrie. The list goes on. And it's funny because we don't know how many other people she has gathered information on as well, right? I remember her having an issue with Glorion at one time as well, okay? We're not going to forget about that. And that was brushed under the rug a bit, even though we still have that on record. I've got that on a video that I did with all the ladies and Breaking. There was a lot that came out in that conversation with Breaking on that video. And one of these days, we may, in fact, do a review of that video so that we can remember exactly how Breaking came into this sector and what she was doing at the time and the things that she was saying at that time compared to what she's saying now, okay? Because there is definitely some differences in some things, but we'll go over that on another video. But the bottom line is, okay, at the end of the day, Breaking the Culture is the one who has told us that she has all these epic receipts that she wants to produce to the sector in order for us to make a clear decision about who is the puppet master behind all this information gathering that's happening to people, all this doxing that's happening, and all this harm that is attempted to happen to people, and who is behind it, right? Because we have been dead set that this is AAS that's doing this. Breaking the Culture has been working with her. Ray Triggs has come around recent, in the past, year or two. But they've been around, Breaking the Culture and AAS have been around much longer. And that this has been going on for an extended period of time. Okay. So, that's what we can prove. We can also prove that Breaking the Culture is the one that is in possession of these alleged recordings, right? And that she is not only in possession of them, but she has passed them on to at least Shakim and to Binary, right? We also can prove that Breaking the Culture is the one that's claiming to have receipts on stuff about Me and Minds. And I want to talk about that too, about Me and Minds and about DJ Drama, and about Smoke and so forth and so on, but has only produced a receipt to Smoke, right? Not to anybody else. And then she's speaking on it. Ray turned around in the comment section of my comments and says, yeah, the me receipts are next, right? And y'all wanted to jump on that. Binary wanted to jump on that and say, so, he knows that there's a receipt. Yeah, he knows because Breaking the Culture said there's a receipt, okay? She is the one that's claiming there is some Me and Minds receipts. And what she said was, and the allegation is, Me and Minds is being paid weekly by Ray, right? For God knows what. We don't really know. She hasn't given us the reason why he would be, going up in his pockets and paying her every single week, okay? Especially considering the fact that Me and Minds hasn't even been talking about the sector lately. I went over to her chat. I went over to her channel just to look. She hasn't been talking about this sector at all. Like, not at all. So I'm not sure what, he would be paying her to do. And the stuff that she was talking about, he was talking about as well. So, content creators, especially larger content creators, they definitely understand that part, that you never lead with your fucking money. Okay. You don't do that shit. You don't go out here offering big money to pay people to do stuff. You don't go out here offering money for interviews and all that shit. No. Because nobody owns anybody on YouTube. Okay, that is one thing for sure, and two things for certain. And many content creators will tell you, no, I ain't paying nobody for no interviews. I'm not doing any of that shit, because that person might come and give me an exclusive interview, and then they'll turn around and give somebody else a totally different interview, which will make my story look crazy. You understand what I'm saying? So what is the point of me coming out of pocket and paying you for something when you can tell me whatever you want and then turn around and tell somebody else something different? Like, I'm not doing that. Okay, so there are things that content creators do not do. Those are like major red flags to people that I know who are larger content creators. I know they're not going to do that. Okay, what reason would he have to be paying me and mine to do anything? For what? I mean, you haven't come up with that reasoning at all, right? You haven't come up with anything on that at all, okay? But that's the narrative that you're pushing, right? Okay, so like Ray said, the next receipts allegedly will be the me and mine's receipts, because that's what they said. Oh, we got me and mine's receipts. We got drama receipts. We got all this stuff. Yet nobody has gotten any of these receipts yet. And it's been days. It's been almost a week since Breaking the Culture was supposed to give us these receipts. And we haven't gotten a single solitary receipt. We've gotten all types of barraging statements about T-Pre, about my grandfather, about Carrie Ann, about children being molested. We've got a whole bunch of stuff about people, kids being attacked and kids being harassed that don't exist, right? But there's kids being harassed even though they don't exist. We've gotten all kinds of allegations out here and all types of stuff put out that Ray is now using the hard ER word and and all these other things and all this stuff, but yet we have not gotten a single solitary actual receipt from Breaking the Culture other than her word. That's it. And these text messages that you gave us didn't prove a damn thing. Like, literally, it didn't. And yes, Shakem, the show was a flop. I'm sorry. This is what the Secktah said, okay? It wasn't just me. It was the Secktah that said that, okay? Yes, the show was a flop, okay? I'm sorry that hurts your feelings. I'm sorry that makes you feel some type of way. But yeah, next time when you go live with these bitches, right, make sure that you vet the information that they give you. Make sure you listen in on the receipts first, right, before you play them live and scramble to look for it live, okay? No, I need you to actually vet the information from Breaking the Culture and from Stargate before you go live and put that information out to the public. Because what ends up happening is you look like a whole ass, okay? That's all I'm saying. You look like an ass when you are sitting here and you are expecting the people to assume that what you're saying is right and what you're saying is correct without any proof of it being right or without any proof of it being correct, okay? You don't just get to say, this is right, and you just believe me, and fuck y'all if you don't, and you're the problem if you don't. No. You need to produce evidence, okay? Produce receipts. And we're going to stay on topic with the person who said, I have the proof. I have not only told Binary, I have not only told Shakem, I have sent them recordings, because Binary, even though I see you in the chat saying, I don't have any recordings, but yet you're the one telling us on your videos that you have these recordings and that Shakem has recordings. You're saying it. You're the one pushing that narrative, that there are recordings. And what is Ray going to do about these recordings? You're saying this in defense of your client, okay? So unfortunately, that puts your client on the hook for having the recordings, okay? Ray does not have recordings. She has recordings, okay? Well, Ray has recordings from her that she was recording Nikki, multiple times, okay? But he doesn't have any recordings of Propate. He says she was only on one call with propane. So if she has a recording of propane, then she was recording the call. Hello? And she passed it to you, Binary, to the point where you are like confident in jumping out the window and protecting her by saying there are recordings. You're confident with that. So that means you have possession of them. Also, Shakem, he has said, we have the recordings. That is what he said. We have the recordings. So she is responsible for giving Shakem those recordings. Okay. I don't know how much more clear this can get. Okay. But this is just the bottom line. It is what it is. So, as far as the Triggs allegations of the hard ER, we're going to need those receipts now as well, because this is what you guys are saying. Because yes, you're absolutely right. If Ray Triggs was out here using the hard ER, I would hold him just as accountable as I would hold Star. I sure would. And I think anybody else would too. Okay? Yeah, absolutely. But where's the receipts? Because I can go to multiple spaces right now at this moment and literally pull up that bitch calling us all black nigger bitches over and over and over and over again. She has even dropped now the black bitches part. It's just niggers now. Okay? I can go to multiple spaces and pull that up. Okay? So, but I can't go anywhere and find that on Ray. I can't. I haven't seen that. I haven't heard that. I've never seen it. I've never heard it. But if you got the evidence of it, produce it. As a matter of fact, since you talked about it last night, Binary, right? Why didn't you produce it? That's a better question. Why didn't you show us that? Since you're so hard on the fact that this is fact and that this is true, right? And you want us to be held accountable for how we are treating Star based off of her use of the hard ER word, right? How dare we? And if we have this same energy, now you want to take the temperature of the sector. This is your words. You want to take the temperature of the sector and see if we treat Ray Triggs the same way. Well, where's the evidence of it? How come you didn't give us that last night? Because literally you could have checked our temperature last night. Like literally, it would have been that easy to check our temperature, because I promise you, you would have gotten the absolute, he would have gotten the hell against him for using such words. Y'all know I don't fuck with Ray any fucking way, right? That's my boy. We besties now, but I don't fuck with him like that, right? He don't fuck with me like that, right? So most definitely Ray would have got all these motherfucking words and all this bullshit from me if he was using that hard ER word. But where's the evidence of it? Where's the proof? And how come you did not provide that last night? Okay. All right. So you're saying I'm not saying it's 100% fact. I'm just making observations. It's on Star to produce the evidence of her claim. It is on Star to produce the evidence of her claim. But, sir, you are talking about it. You are defending it, right? As if you know that is factual, right? Because, see, what I'm doing here with Ray is I'm being objective with this situation, right? What I'm doing is I'm speaking on the facts that we have. I'm not speaking on stuff I want, speaking on things I like, speaking on, from a biased place and so forth and so on. I'm actually using facts, right? You're not using facts. You're taking what ifs and what abouts and maybes and so forth, and then trying to put together and piece together a storyline. And that's not what we're doing here. We're actually taking the facts here, right? And we're going by what we have as factual, because that is how, and the only way that we can get to the bottom of this story and of this situation. All right. So I got you. I hear what you're saying. Okay. But from here on out, Binary, I'm going to need you to produce the facts. You see what I'm saying? And go off of the actual facts in the matter. You can't go off of what ifs. I get it. I know you're a troll, right? And you be having a hell of a way of explaining some shit sometimes. You be having me thinking, I'll be like, you know what? You might be right. You might be right. But then I'll be thinking and I'll be like, I don't know, man. If that hard ER word last night, I'm sorry, son. You was absolutely wrong. And hell no. I couldn't let you get away with that. Okay. Especially with you being 75% black. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna need you to pull that 75% up, okay? And be like, nah, we ain't never tolerating no shit like that. I don't give a fuck who said it, how they said it. It's just not acceptable. What I do like is the fact that you did say that, right? You did definitely say it's not acceptable. It's not something that would be my go-to. I'm not okay with that. She is absolutely responsible for her own words. She's responsible for herself, right? But that's where it should have stayed. You know what I'm saying? Allow her to be responsible for herself. You don't have to explain stuff away for her, right? Because literally you're not softening the blow at all. Okay. Actually, it's making it worse because it's just highlighting how hateful she is and that painful space and that painful place that we have in the Black community where there are Black people who are Black, right? But absolutely hate Black people, particularly Black Americans. Okay. That is really a thing. That is something that is going on very heavily in this sector. And we most definitely need to be talking about it and be honest with these things and not be pretending, that these things aren't actually happening. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the comment section. I do appreciate everybody who is in the building. Make sure all 49 people do hit the like button on the way in or out. It doesn't matter. But let me go ahead and get into the comments. And you guys who are watching most definitely do have the opportunity right now to watch the show without ads. After the show is over, I will be putting ads on the show. So shout out to everybody who is in the clouds. Truly appreciate y'all. Let me go ahead and show this. I do see that there's some comments that aren't showing. If the moderators are in the chat, make sure that you guys do show the comments if it's something that's acceptable. Let me go to the top of the chat. What's up, T Pre? I truly Vici, you said that. I truly appreciate you being in the building, Vici, and chat lives. Appreciate you as well. You said Australian working class whites call each other the hard ER. Okay. You said morning, T Pre. What's up, Alan? I appreciate you. You said blacks deal with enough hate without getting it from our own. Facts. I agree. And I think there should be more of a code amongst us. But unfortunately, there isn't. And then we find these excuses for why we shouldn't be on code or why we don't have such codes, right? You said, Vici says, I've heard many people for whatever reason slip and say the hard ER by mistake. I've only heard one intentionally use it on repeat. Exactly. See, that's the part that's getting to me. I've even gotten where I've heard conversations amongst Ku Klux Klan members and there's these videos, there's these series of videos of this Black man who went into Ku Klux Klan territory and went talking to them and having conversation with the Imperial Wizard, right? And even in those conversations, they use the words, right? And they said those things, but it wasn't continuous. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like a barrage of just saying it over and over. They could just say it and just move on, right? She just continuously used that word over and over and over again, and as if it was just supposed to, she wanted it to hit home that is the word she was intending to use, and that is not okay. That's not in any way okay. I don't give a fuck, whether she it doesn't matter whether you think she's a racist or not. Like I said, I think that speaks to the condition of our people, right? I think it speaks more to the condition of our people and what goes on in our households, what has happened in our past, who's talking like this in our past, and so forth and so on, and how we can prevent this in the future, like what we can do to stop stuff like this or prevent this kind of stuff in the future, because this is not okay at all to make any kind of excuse for that. She was not right. It was not okay. And it's not acceptable. Ray Triggs says, interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, I think that's when I was talking about the word nigger. Very perspectives. You said respect that Black Lounge Divine. Truly appreciate you being in the building. You said shout out to the chat. Brixton, I appreciate you as well. You said, "Hey, Miss T Pre, hope you're good. Easy chat." Yep, I appreciate you as well, Brixton. Hope everything is well over there across the water. Ray Trey says, "I say nigga a lot and try to stop myself on occasion. It might have sounded that way, but what my intent is and what Stargate's intent was are different. I don't appreciate including me in that, in what she did." Exactly. I didn't either, because I felt like it was distasteful to kind of put you in that, right? Without any evidence or any receipts of that. Even if, it's up to Stargate to produce it. Why did you retell the story? Why did you mention it? If you don't even have any evidence of such a thing. You know what I mean? That's not okay. Like, even when I said what I said about Ray, right? I said what I said about Ray based off of a video Ray made. It wasn't I just came out the blue and just said it because Shakim said it, right? No, Shakim showed the video, and I then was moved by that video, and that's when I said something about it, okay? It took me seeing evidence of something for me to say something. It wasn't me just jumping out because somebody else said it. So, as an adult in your 40s, it seems like you'd be, a lot more cautious about just saying stuff just because somebody else said it, and then turn around and say, "Oh, it's up to them to produce the receipts and produce the evidence." It is, but it's also up to them to carry their weight with it. Like, you don't have to carry any kind of weight with it, especially if you're not going to be producing any receipts on it. That's just that. So I agree. And I've heard you say nigga, and I've said nigga, right? Like, plenty of us have used that word, but we're not saying nigger, and we're not using it to harm anybody. As when Muslim has used the word, he was using nigga as a term of endearment, even though it would turned out not to be very endearing to anyone. Okay, I don't care what anybody says about how D. Durrell is the only one that sat him down and all that other stuff. That's not true. There was a lot of people that gave Muslim a lot of pushback on that, including myself. I have gotten on panels and argued with him about that and everything. There's other people that have pushed back on him for a long time over that. It's just been so long, right? Now, I do want to bring up a point, and shout out to Pete, because shout out to Pistol Packing Pussy P, okay? Because he actually really did bring up a point to me, or at least he brought it up in the chat last night, and it brought it back to my memory. But other people started talking about it too. And I was like, yeah, this did happen, right? Like, we got to be fair about this. Now, Muslim was handing out super chats and cash apps left and right, okay? Now, I don't know if, I can't say that he was paying his way back into the sector. I can't really say that. I can say he was doing that. He ain't never gave me a cash app or a super chat, though. You know what I'm saying? That I could recall. But I can say that I do remember certain people getting that, right? I also remember getting certain information from him. I remember other people getting information from him and stuff like that, which kind of softened the blow of what happened, right? And over time, he appeared more of an ally as opposed to, somebody who was trying to be harmful. Also, he made it a point to apologize profusely for that behavior, and he did it on multiple occasions for an extended period of time. Does that make it right? No, right? But it absolutely does make a difference in how people treated him based off of what's happening with Star. It is a completely different situation, okay? Because of the fact that Star is using it in a hateful manner. She's using it with intent to harm, and it appears that way, and she's saying it, and she's doubling down on why she's using it that way. So you can't compare those two. Whether you want to or whether you don't, whether you get up and get drunk and scream at us about it or not is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Stargate is on a completely different level with that word than anybody else in this sector so far. Okay. Now, again, if you've got the receipts that Ray Triggs has used that word in the same way, then produce it. Put it on the community wall, post that shit. Let's see it. Okay. If you don't have that, though, then shut the fuck up. Real shit. Stop that shit now. And let that woman stand accountable for her own behavior. Bottom fucking line. Nobody else has to jump in line and stand accountable with her. No, she needs to be held accountable for her shit. Period. Not you, binary, not you, identity. Stargate needs to be held accountable for her shit. And she's going to be held accountable, whether y'all like that or not. Now, if you choose to remain in bed with her and you take the blows that go with that, that's what happens when you do that, right? You already are aware of that. You're prepared for that. Boom, so be it. We moving on. But what you're not going to do is manipulate the people that we're wrong for feeling some kind of way and that we should just ignore it because this is what Black people do and this is how Black people go. Yeah, well, gay people do the same thing, but that doesn't mean that other people can come in and attack them. That doesn't mean that even gay people can come up and attack gay people with gay slurs. Period. It's the same thing with Black people. The same thing that's with Jewish people is the same with Black people. The same thing with Korean people is the same with Black people. And we need to be on that accord. And we need to put people like you on a highlight. We need to look at motherfuckers like this. We need to put y'all, the spotlight on y'all to understand why the fuck this be happening, right? Why this would be okay, why this would be tolerated, why this should be accepted in our race and in our community. I want you to take that into consideration, right? While you're thinking about the 75% of your side, right? I want you to think about that. I want you to think about the 50% of your kids, right? And how they are also, of the Black race, right? And that they don't have to turn around and figure out how to accept being called a nigger, okay? Your kids do not, just like my kids do not, okay? So therefore, none of us should even begin to have a discussion of such matter, okay? If we're going to discuss this, we need to discuss how to prevent it. We need to discuss how to stop it. We need to discuss what boundaries we will put up and what we won't, what things we will allow and what we won't. That's the discussion we need to have around the ER word. Not about how Star is Black and Creole and this and how she might not be this and she might be that and she could be a racist, but she might not be a racist. And how dare we call her a racist and we're just too sensitive. And no. We need to discuss the real etymology of the word, where the word was produced, how the word is being used now, and what we can do to prevent it. Bottom fucking line. And I refuse to be gaslit into being told that I need to stand down. And how dare I be up in arms about this word when we're using it as a term of endearment amongst each other. Yeah, so do Jews, right? Yeah, so do Mexicans, right? So do Hispanics, right? So does every other race. So does every other demographic of people. But that does not give people the right to use those words to harm you, period. And we have the right to call that bitch out on it and hold her to the stake for that shit, period, point blank. There's a lot of egregious shit Stargate has done, but that right there was the worst. And if y'all choose to turn a blind eye to it as Black men, that's your fault. That's your fault. We don't have to jump on that bandwagon with you and fall with you. We don't have to go with you and agree with you, okay? So the point of that video last night was irrelevant. Like, I'm being honest. It was, you could have just kept that to yourself. You're more than welcome to follow Stargate and be her friend and agree with her and not get rid of her and keep her on the team because she's loud and yells and it works. And okay, that's your choice. We don't have to fuck with y'all though. Like, period. Like, that's just it. Like I said, I'm gonna fuck with you because I fuck with you. I like what the fuck you be talking about most of the time, right? But when it comes to the bullshit, what Stargate, nobody got to fuck with you, bro. And that's just that. That's your fault, okay? Because you're choosing to double down on acceptance of it. That's your choice. I ain't got to follow Coonan. You know what I'm saying? Like, other people, we ain't got to follow Coonan. We can recognize Coonan, okay? And we can call it out and say, no, we're not fucking with that. And that's just that, okay? And we don't need a speech on how wrong we are. We don't need a speech on how we need to accept it and giving us ideas on how we need to tolerate it. Because you damn sure wouldn't be having such a discussion with your grandmother or your mother about a thing regarding Japanese people. You understand what I'm saying? You just wouldn't. See, this was our issue before binary, right? When we talked about how you brought these four Japanese women to tell 200 black women how black women live and what black women feel and what happens with black women. You understand what I'm trying to say? No. Black people's experience is our experience, okay? Nobody can tell us what we're allowed to feel with our experiences. That's just that. We are the ones that can speak for ourselves, and we have a voice to speak on it. We don't need a 75%er telling us how we need to deal with it if they can't even accept their 75%. That's just what that is. But we're going to leave that right there because, you my boy. Okay, I fucks with you. But it is what it is. And your clients need to produce her receipts. They need to produce their receipts. Star needs to produce hers, and Breaking the Culture needs to produce her receipts. Stop playing with the people. Stop playing mental games and mind games with the people and produce the goddamn receipts. Period. Point blank. We're not playing games no more. Vici says, what's up to Very Perspective? What's up, regulator? You said anyone repeating the hard ER word should be pulled up and dragged down on pulled up on and dragged down the road. Facts 100%. Miss Murph says, hey to Miss T pre-mods in chat and the art of deflection. Child, what's up? What you gonna do about it? Says they putting people's family in danger with that doxing. Exactly. These people have children, they have situations going on, and there are people that are really going through and experiencing real doxing, experiencing real issues, and it all dates back to anti-Afro. It does not go back to Ray Triggs. Ray Triggs don't have no ops around here that he has a reason to be doing this, no matter how much you try to paint that picture, binary. It's just not true, okay? It's just the bottom line. And we are looking for evidence around here. We are no longer just going and taking people's word and whatever you say, and that's just that. No. We need facts. We need evidence, son. And that's it. If you don't have it, why are you talking about it? I'm not sure why you're talking about it. Like, real shit. Okay, so let's get into the rest of these comments. Brixton says, let Rev live. He's finally found his lane talking about men's micro parts. It's funny because I'll be finding out what Rev G be talking about from y'all. Like, I'll go over there after I hear about something. I'll go over there if I hear about something, and if it's like important enough or if it's something that I think is funny enough, I'll watch it, right? But if it ain't really about shit, I'm not even going over there and listening to what the fuck this guy be talking about, because Rev is wild. Yeah. But I did hear he's been talking about micro dicks and stuff lately. I don't know. Ms. Murph said, if Ray did everything that is being alleged, those that are doing the exposing were okay with it until they allegedly fell out. Facts. That's another point, right, Miss Murph? Like, how is it that you had, if you claimed you got these recordings, which, like I said, Shakim and Binary have both, alleged that these recordings exist, right? If you have all this stuff, then, why were you comfortable with that? Why did you keep that? Why did you have it in your possession? Why, once they said, hey, I'm going to send you this recording, why do you still have it? How come you didn't, get rid of it, delete it? How come you didn't say, no, I don't want that? Like, how come you didn't text him and say, yo, why you send me this? Or why you ain't email him and be like, yo, how come you sent me this recording of such and such or whatever? I don't want this shit. Like, that, all that stuff would have been evidence that you would have been like, yo, this guy was sending me shit and I ain't want nothing to do with it. That would be actual facts and evidence and receipts and stuff like that. But yet you continue to talk to him, email him, text him, all this stuff, all the way up to the same day that you fucking threw him under the bus. So, no, it's really difficult to take you serious with that. Just simply because You were all good with him until you got thrown under the bus by Stargate. And now, they got to be out here trying to clean that shit the fuck up. That's what the fuck really happened. You said the receipts are her sending them emails saying, I have receipts. Exactly. That's the receipts, right? You said, I love the thumbnail. What's up, T Pre and Chad? What's up, Binary? You said, LOL Brixton, Rev's micro penis live is legendary. Miss Murph said, great show last night, Binary. I Am Human First says, will we see these receipts before Trump's indictment? At this moment, my money is on Miami, Florida's grand jury. Child, I'm just saying, because it looked like we ain't getting no receipts. Binary says, nope, I don't have any recordings. Well, you made it seem like you did, okay? Because you were doubling down that these recordings exist. We have the recordings. Shakem says, we have the recordings, okay? So if y'all don't want us to believe that there are recordings and that Breaking the Culture has these recordings in her possession, then you should stop saying they exist, because you're saying they exist. This is the reason why we think they exist. It's not because of her word. It's because of y'all. Y'all are saying they exist. So therefore, stop telling us that if you don't think they actually exist, okay? You can actually say, I don't know if there's recordings. Breaking is saying there's a recording. I haven't heard it. I haven't seen it. No, what you're saying is, we have the recordings. Ray, how are you going to respond when Teresa hears this? When Teresa knows this? This is what you're saying. How is he going to respond when Propane hears this recording? We already know the recording exists. So how is Propane going to respond? These are your words. So you can't turn around now and be like, oh, there's no recordings. My bad. Like, we got to, which one is it? Okay, you got to pick a side today, okay? You got to pick a side, Binary, because you was over here saying there's recordings. Now you're saying there isn't. Alan says, me and crimes got bigger problems than the Secktah. Child, it's a damn shame. Gail Grimes says, right, Miss Murph. What's up, Gail? I appreciate you being in the building. Triggs says, I'll drop the me receipts tonight. Okay. All right. You said, good morning, T Pre. Good morning, y'all. Good morning, Miss T Pre. What's up, Stephanie Collins? Miss T Pre. Alan says, there's definitely kids being used as bait. I got the receipts. Okay. And then Binary says, Ray Triggs, that's dope, though. And then Whistleblower says, dope. I caught that pun, Binary. Binary says, no, she didn't pass it to me. I'm taking her word for it. But we all know Triggs admitted to recording phone calls. No, I don't. Where did he? I don't recall him admitting to that. I recall Breaking the Culture admitting to recording phone calls and then passing those phone calls on to Ray Triggs. But I don't recall Ray Triggs actually admitting to any such thing. If you got that, produce the evidence, because I didn't see that. You said Victor Cousins made those recordings. Right. Remember that? Yeah, she was recording him too. Okay. You said Ashe Ray. Ashe says Ray admitted to recording phone calls. Nope. Where did he admit to that? There's no receipts of that. And then Miss Murph says, do receipts need to be shown if Ray responds and defends against the allegations? Yeah, I think that if Ray responds and defends himself, properly against these allegations, then she needs to produce facts that he's lying. Okay, because she's the one, again, that threw all this under the bus. She's the one that put this out here. It's not like we asked. It's not like we told her. None of that stuff. This came all from her. So, yes, I think she should. You said, Ray said, no, Ray didn't. Binary said Ray did. Exactly. Binary has been saying that Ray is doing all this stuff. Ray hasn't said any of this stuff. Ray hasn't done anything about any recordings. So again, okay, so Binary is admitting, guys, so we have another fact. Binary is in fact admitting that he is only taken Breaking the Culture's word for it, okay? He has not seen any evidence. He has not produced any evidence. He's just taken her word for it, okay? And that's just that. He doesn't really know. So he's waiting for evidence just like we are. And he is her defense attorney. And he don't even have the evidence, okay? Like, damn, you can at least provide your attorney with the evidence, bitch. Like, can you do that? Shit, god damn. This shit don't make no goddamn sense. And then Binary says, I'm not saying it's 100% fact. I'm just making observations. It's on Star to produce the evidence of her claim. Okay, so again, we are back to another one of your clients where you don't actually have the evidence. You're just going on their word, even though their word has kind of flopped back and forth multiple times over an extended period of time. You're going by their word. And that is the reason why you are so hard on and believing that Ray Triggs is responsible for all this, even though the evidence points to otherwise. Okay. Gotcha. Vici says, Star and Culture got Code Fam and Shakem looking crazy out here. Definitely fucking do. Even to the point where Shakem going live because he mad that my show did better numbers than his. And it's not even about who viewed it. It's the likes. Like I told y'all, I will troll somebody sometimes just to show the likes, okay? Because I want you to see how many people agreed with what the fuck happened over here and how many people agreed with that shit over there, okay? At the time, I even had less views and way more likes than you, okay? Like that show, sir, the Epic Receipt Show, it was a flop, okay? A 100%, 1000% flop, okay? I'm sorry that hurts your feelings. I get it. I know you want to put me on a thumbnail and with this fake Ray Triggs picture and all this stuff. Listen, bro, it was a flop. It's not my fault that Breaking the Culture and Stargate be setting your ass up and you be taking them motherfucking licks every motherfucking time. That is not my fault, okay? You need to do something about that. Like I said, vet the information before you release it, okay? That's you. That's on you as a content creator to do that, okay? You cannot just put anything out there because you think you can. No, vet it first and then put it out there, okay? All right? Mm-hmm. You said, Miss Murph said, what if all of this is just one gigantic troll move and there really wasn't a falling out? I had heard somebody saying that. Smoke was talking about that kind of, this all could be just everybody behind the scenes, just, going with this whole thing and everything. But this is the problem with what you're saying. A lot of people think that there be these manufactured beefs, and there do be sometimes manufactured beefs, but it's all for a particular reason. It's not because somebody's just manufacturing beef just to get views and to get people talking. No, it's usually a manufactured beef, like in the sense like Breaking the Culture suddenly wanted to beef with me. Breaking the Culture suddenly wanted to beef with Nikki. Breaking the Culture suddenly wanted to beef with Carrie Ann. Her and Carrie Ann is a lot more authentic. But everybody else, nah. She didn't have no reason to want to beef with these people other than the fact that Anti-Afro has a beef with these people, okay? And that's literally what it was, okay? So, like I said, I don't think it's this, everybody's falling out and it's behind the scenes and everybody's making that up. They thought me and Breaking the Culture was making up our beef. They thought me and Shakem was making up our beef, and we were not. That was authentic, guys. It was 100% real. There's no fakeness, no nothing about that. It was all real, okay? It just happens to play out that way, and then you guys see it in real time, and it'd be so crazy, you would think that it's a reality show, right? But it's real. That should be real life. So, nope, I think it's real. I definitely do. You said, what's up? That's not what we're doing. Appreciate you being in the building. Ashe says, Binary playing the role of troll under the bridge as per usual. What's up, Sarah Maganda? You say, yeah, we want products, produce, prove, proficiency, perfusing facts. Okay, perusing facts. We need all that shit, child. That's what I'm saying. Stephanie Collins says, binary code, it's a really common pitfall. But in your opening statement, you usually don't want to promise a jury evidence you don't end up producing during trial. Thank you. Like Binary, I'm going to need you to stop telling us about this evidence that you're now saying doesn't exist, or that you're now saying, well, I haven't seen it. I'm just hearing it from her, because you hyping the crowd up. Like, this is the evidence. We got the recordings. This is what you're saying. Okay. So you got to stop producing evidence and promising evidence to a jury that doesn't exist, okay? Or promising evidence that you can't produce. That's just the bottom line. Shout out to Steph. You said, talk that motherfucking lawyer stuff, Steph, right? That's what I'm talking about. Grape Ape said, binary code thinks star saying nigger is funny. He said it. He said it put of his mouth. Brixton said, to be fair to Breaking the Culture, as much as I've roasted over this situation, she did clarify in Binary Code's chat that she had no recordings of propane. She just hissed herself onto the call. So here's the thing that I have with her saying that, right? She's now saying that after the fact, but at first she was saying, we have the recordings of why do I have in my possession a recording of you talking with propane, where I can tell you verbatim what propane was saying. I can play back for the sector what propane was saying and what was going on. I can do that because I have it, because I was on the call and because Ray was recording it. And then he asked me, what did I get that? And did I get that? And like, this is her words, right? So now that the sector is holding her to the fire for having that recording, we've got the men who were supporting her now like, no, bitch, fuck you. You about to go up in these courts if you really think that it's about that, because in New York and where you live at, it's got to be a two-party consent in order for you to record. Like, now that they're coming at her with this stuff, now she's trying to backtrack and say, oh no, I don't have no recordings. I never recorded. I was just there on the call. But that's not what you said at first. And Shakim doubled down on there being recordings when he said, we have the recordings. That is what Breaking the Culture said. And that is what Shakim has said in this Epic Receipt show. And before that, they said it. So that's not really being fair to Breaking. You know what I mean? Like, to be fair to Breaking, this is what Breaking actually said. Now she's changing her story because she's being held to the fire. So let's be real about what's really going on, okay? Of course she's going to say now, I don't have no recordings. I never recorded anybody, because now she realizes her saying that makes her look guilty. That's why. So of course she's going to change that. You said responsibly, response, reaction, ass. You said, oh, a race issue is going on. Yes, child. Mm-hmm. Stephanie says, I don't say it despite these vague, baseless allegations by that phantom lady. Okay? Facts. What's up, T-Pre? You said they did that already. Salute, T-Pre. You said, I don't know what you mean they did that. You got to tell me. Chat Live says, can't the same argument be made for the word bitch? Yeah, it can. But I don't think the word bitch has nearly as much of an impact as the word nigger. Okay? Like, I honestly do not think the word bitch has nearly as much of an impact as the word nigger. However, the argument would be that men, don't just have the opportunity in person. Now, P, online will be doing all kinds of shit. But men in person don't have the option of just calling a woman a bitch without actually, facing some consequences for that. Okay. You're most definitely probably going to get a purse upside your head or something for calling a woman out of her name in her face, right? As opposed, well, online, you might get away with that a lot more, but in her face, men would be much more hesitant in calling a woman a bitch, right? As opposed to, saying some other term, okay? Or just yelling at her or some shit like that. But calling her a bitch is totally different. Now, her bitches could be around and be like, bitch, girl, you bitches is, and that kind of shit. And it's normal for women to kind of talk like that with amongst one another. It is not normal for her husband to be calling her a bitch every fucking day. No, that's not normal at all, right? So, yeah, I think you're right. But I also don't think that word has as much of an impact as the word nigger, but definitely a good point, Chat Lives. I appreciate that. Smokeout says, right. You said, right. You said, I've been saying that for 2 years. That never made sense. But then again, hatred makes you blind. Mm-hmm. You said, hey, darlings. You said, damn, my opinion. You said, so much receipts. Don't know all these crazy stuff. What's up, Mikey? Don't know all these crazy stuff is true or not. It's hard for me to believe anything now what people say. Okay? And that's the crazy part about it. Like, but some people think because it was said, you're just supposed to just let it be said, and we're just supposed to believe it. Vici says Star ain't producing anything but new enemies. That's it. And my opinion says the proof is on the person saying the shit is true. Facts. Thank you, Teresa. The proof is not on Ray. He does not need to hop out the window and prove that he didn't say this and didn't say that. Breaking the Culture said it's true. Prove it, bitch. Mm-hmm. Prove that shit, bitch. If it's really true and it's really facts, then it's not going to change to false if you put it out in the public. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not. So put that shit out there. You said, Chat Live says, Teresa, you remember how people used to say Janet and Michael Jackson was the same person? Mm-hmm, they did. I said, LOL, binary working with the state as a public defender. You said, my opinion says, I ain't fucking with you, but in some cases, for a distance, I don't know. Folks change. Folks, I'm on change. Folks do. Okay. Ms. Murph said, wasn't there a sector court before? If so, maybe it should be revisited. Yeah, I think Slander God had sector court, didn't he? Shakim was doing sector court too, but clearly we can't do sector court over there right now. But yeah, I think Slander God had it. And I want to say LV was doing something like that too. I don't quite remember though, but I know Slander God had something like that. So yeah, maybe he needs to get that started again. That would be fun too. He said, common sense has yet to be found in this situation. Facts. 100% facts, Teresa. Brixton says, gotcha. I wasn't aware that Shakim stated that about the recordings. And of course, her initial statement about it. So fair enough, Miss T. Pre. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of hard for me to just, overlook that and just kind of just take her word for it now. Like, oh, okay, because she's the one that was talking about that shit to begin with. Like, we wouldn't even know about a recording if it wasn't for Breaking the Culture saying it. And if it wasn't for Shakim doubling down on these recordings existing, So, and that's on their videos. It's not like, it's not like I'm just saying that shit. It's on their videos. You said, damn, my opinion. You said, Miss Murph. And Ray Triggs says, holy shit, Mike. He said, Mike made sense. Child. All right, listen, guys, we out of here. I do appreciate everybody for being in the building. Make sure that y'all do hit the like button on the way out. But guys, listen, I think that we are pretty much on the same consensus about all of this. At the end of the day, it is not up to Ray to produce any receipts other than him defending what this bitch has already said about him, okay? We already know her to be a liar just based off of her history, and so therefore we need evidence and we need receipts of these things. I know that she sent some information to the Smoke God, right? But again, Smoke, I would caution you on that. And I think you already know, it may sound believable. It may sound like it's something that, is credible. But again, allow other eyes to be put on it so that other people can look at it and they're able to say, oh, no, this is what happened with that. Or no, this is how this really went, or, or whatever. Don't let it just be with just you. Let that be the public as well. And if she don't produce it, you produce it. Put it out, right? And be like, yo, this is what she sent me. This is what she sent me. You know what I mean? Because, I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's not. I don't know. But I'm going to give you until such and such a date, right? Because you're claiming that this is true. My name is on the line with that, right? While she's telling you that this is what happened and that happened. Your name is on the line with that. So if that is the case, give her to a certain amount of time, right? And be like, okay, produce this evidence by this date. And if you don't, then I'm going to put it out there. And I'm going to let the people decide whether this is true or not. I'm going to give Ray the opportunity to answer and tell me why this was done or how this was done. I'm going to give everybody the opportunity to speak their speech on it, right? And then what? Because if it's true and it's fact, there shouldn't be a problem with her on that. She shouldn't have a problem with that. As a matter of fact, she wouldn't have a problem at all with you producing that to the public if it was actually fact, okay? And it can be corroborated by other people, and we can be like, yeah, this really is some shit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I would give her a time frame. I would most definitely give her a time frame. He says, hey, honey bunnies, see you guys later. You say, yeah, Smoke is playing it cool. He knows what's up. Exactly. Smoke ain't nothing slow about Smoke at all, Breaking. That's the part you don't understand. You think Smoke is slow. You think Smoke is stupid, okay? Because that's what AAS has told you. But that's not true. Smoke is very, very intelligent. He's a very intelligent man, okay? Has much more education than you could even dream of. And that's the shit you don't know, right? Because you think you see people online and you think they smoke a couple blunts and they do this and that. You think somehow that makes them slow and they don't know shit and, they don't know any better. But honey, you got another thing coming. If you think you playing with fire, you're going to get burnt. And that's just it, okay? While you out here playing with fire, you're going to get burnt because you're really asking for that. All right. You're asking for it. So again, we'll wait and see what happens. I will be looking forward to Ray's show later on this evening. I know that he will be talking about these receipts. I think that comes on at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll all be looking for that. And I will appreciate all of you for being in the building. You said Ray is okay in my book. And you said, hello, Miss T. Pre in chat. What's up, Bernice? I appreciate you being in the building. And everybody saying, Ray is okay with me in my book. Yep, me too. All right, guys, listen, I'm out of here. I appreciate everybody for being in the building. Again, make sure you guys hit the like button on the way out, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace, guys. Thank you guys again for watching.